As we get older, something shifts. Our priorities become clearer. We begin to value peace over chaos, health over hustle, and genuine relationships over forced connections. At Ageless Mind and Body, we believe your golden years should be exactly that golden. But here's the truth: not every relative deserves a front row seat in your life. Family can be a source of love and support, but sometimes they can also bring stress, guilt, and emotional drain. And after 60, protecting your mental and emotional well-being isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. You've spent a lifetime giving to others. Now, it's time to give back to yourself. In today's video, we'll explore the 6 types of relatives you may need to set boundaries with or even step back from entirely. Some of these might surprise you, but by the end, you'll feel more empowered to create the peace and balance you deserve. Let's dive in. 1. The drama queen. Relative. We all know one, the relative who turns every minor inconvenience into a full-blown disaster. Whether it's a forgotten birthday card or a slightly late reply to a text, they react with overwhelming emotion, dragging everyone around them into a whirlwind of drama. This person thrives on conflict, constantly feeding off tension, negativity, and the energy of others. And if you're over 60, it's time to ask yourself, is this still worth your peace of mind? The drama queen doesn't just bring the occasional drama they created. Small misunderstandings become major battles. They twist words, read into harmless situations, and somehow manage to center themselves in every issue, real or imagined. You may have tolerated it for years out of habit, obligation, or the hope that things would change. But now, more than ever, it's time to be honest about the emotional toll this behavior takes on your well-being. Here's the truth: chronic stress is a silent killer. It's been linked to high blood pressure, heart disease, weakened immunity, anxiety, and even memory decline. And unfortunately, dealing with someone who constantly stirs up emotional chaos can keep you in a state of low-grade ongoing stress, often without even realizing it. You might find yourself walking on eggshells, overthinking conversations, or avoiding family gatherings just to keep the peace. But at what cost? Your later years should be a time of peace, clarity, and joy, not emotional survival. You've spent a lifetime learning, giving, and navigating the ups and downs of relationships. Now, your emotional energy is too valuable to waste on someone who sees drama as a form of entertainment or control. So, what can you do? Set boundaries. You don't need to engage in every battle they present. In fact, you don't even need to respond. Start limiting how much time you spend around them. Protect your peace by choosing when and how you interact. If they begin to escalate, don't be afraid to calmly excuse yourself or redirect the conversation. Remember, you have the power to control what you absorb. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. You may not be able to change who they are, but you can change how much access they have to your emotions. That's your power. That's your freedom. We believe that emotional health is just as important as physical health. As you enter your golden years, protecting your peace is not a luxury, it's a form of self-care. So if you have a drama queen relative in your life, it's okay to love them from a distance. It's okay to say no more. It's okay to prioritize you, because peace isn't just something you deserve, it's something you've earned. 2. The money leech relative. There's generosity, and then there's exploitation. We all want to help the people we love, especially when they're struggling. But what happens when the help never seems to end? When every call, every visit, every message eventually circles back to one thing: money. That's when you may be dealing with what we call the money leech relative. The family member who always seems to need a little extra but never seems to grow from the support you give. They might start with small requests, a loan for rent, help with car repairs, a little cash to get through the month. At first it feels good to lend a hand, but over time you start to notice a pattern. They never really move forward. There's always a new crisis, a new excuse, a new promise to pay you back someday, and somehow that day never comes. Here's the hard truth: your retirement is not their safety net. You've spent decades working, saving, planning, and sacrificing so that you could enjoy a secure, peaceful life. The money leech threatens that security, not maliciously perhaps, but through a pattern of learned dependency and emotional manipulation. They know how to tug on your heartstrings. They might guilt you, flatter you, or make you feel responsible for their financial well-being. But their inability or unwillingness to become financially independent is not your burden to carry. Boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary. When you say no, you are not abandoning your family. You are respecting yourself. When you stop enabling poor decisions, you are giving them the opportunity and the responsibility to stand on their own. It's not an easy shift, especially if you've been the helper your whole life, but you must ask, at what cost? Financial stress in retirement is very real. Watching your savings dwindle due to someone else's choices can lead to anxiety, resentment, and even feelings of betrayal. And worse, it can put your own housing, healthcare, and lifestyle at risk. That's not just frustrating, it's dangerous. So what can you do? Start by getting clear on your financial boundaries. Decide what you are and are not willing to give. Communicate those boundaries calmly, clearly, and firmly. If needed, put them in writing, and if the requests continue, repeat yourself without guilt. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your future. Remember, love doesn't always look like yes. Sometimes love means letting others face consequences. Sometimes love means saying, "I've done what I can, but now it's up to you." We're here to remind you, you are not a bank. You are a person with your own dreams, needs, and right to peace. Your golden years are not meant to be spent stressing over someone else's poor money management. So, if you have a money leech in your life, it's time to stop funding the cycle. Say no. Prioritize your well-being. And trust that setting financial boundaries is one of the most loving things you can do for them, and especially for yourself. Because peace of mind is priceless, and you've earned every bit of it. 3. The constant critic. Relative. There's one type of relative that leaves a mark, not with their absence, but with their words. They don't raise their voice, but their tone cuts deep. They may claim they're being honest or that they just want the best for you, but what they deliver feels less like care and more like judgment. This is the constant critic. You know them by the way they always have something to say about your choices. Whether it's your appearance, your career, how you raise your children, or how you spend your retirement. Their comments are rarely encouraging. Instead, they chip away at your confidence bit by bit. Over time, you might find yourself second-guessing even the smallest decisions, not because you believe they're wrong, but because you've been conditioned to anticipate judgment. Living under a constant cloud of criticism isn't just emotionally draining, it's damaging. It fosters self-doubt, erodes self-esteem, and creates a lingering sense of not being good enough. You may start to question your own instincts or feel anxious before family gatherings, wondering what they'll say next or how they'll make you feel small again. What makes this dynamic even harder is that critical relatives often mask their behavior behind the guise of love or concern. "I'm just telling you the truth," they say, or "You need to hear this." But genuine care doesn't belittle. Real love uplifts. And constructive feedback is rooted in empathy, not superiority. If this pattern sounds familiar, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate the emotional access you've given this person. You are not obligated to absorb negativity, and you certainly don't need their approval to validate your choices. Your life, especially in these later and wiser years, is not a project for others to manage or fix. It's yours to enjoy and live fully. Protecting your peace might mean limiting contact, changing the subject, or calmly asserting, "I don't find those comments helpful." Whatever boundary you choose to set, remember it's not about punishing them. It's about preserving your emotional well-being. At Ageless Mind and Body, we believe that self-respect means not shrinking to make others comfortable. You've earned your life experience, you've earned your wisdom, and you deserve relationships that honor who you are not, try to tear you down. 4. The guilt tripper relative. There's a certain kind of relative who doesn't raise their voice, doesn't pick fights, and doesn't even seem confrontational on the surface. But somehow, after every conversation with them, you feel heavy, like you've done something wrong. This is the guilt tripper. They have a subtle but powerful way of manipulating your time, energy, and emotions through guilt. It might sound like, "I guess I'll just spend the holidays alone again," or "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me." These comments aren't direct demands, but they're designed to trigger your sense of responsibility and your shame. Over time, you begin to feel obligated to meet their expectations, not out of love, but out of pressure. Your yes starts to come from fear of disappointing them rather than a genuine desire to help. And the more you give in, the more they expect. Guilt tripping becomes their tool of control. You may start canceling plans, giving up rest, or even sacrificing your own needs and peace of mind to avoid making them feel upset or neglected. The danger here is that guilt, especially when it's manipulated this way, can be deeply corrosive. It eats away at your confidence, creates unnecessary stress, and can even impact your physical health. What makes it even trickier is that it's often wrapped in emotional language that makes you question whether you're being selfish for putting yourself first. But here's the truth. Setting boundaries is not selfish. Protecting your energy is not cruel. And you are not responsible for managing someone else's emotions, especially when they're using those emotions to control you. It's okay to say no. It's okay to make choices that honor your well-being, even if someone else doesn't approve. You don't have to explain or defend your boundaries. You don't owe anyone your time just because they expect it. At this stage in life, peace is a priority. Your time is sacred, and your emotional health matters. Don't let guilt, a feeling that should be rare and meaningful, become a leash used to control you. We encourage you to step out of guilt and into clarity. You deserve relationships rooted in mutual respect, not manipulation, and you have every right to choose yourself. 5. The toxic caretaker. Relative. This one might be the most surprising, not because it's rare, but because it often wears a very convincing mask. It comes disguised as kindness, as helpfulness, as love. At first, it looks like someone stepping in with good intentions. They bring groceries, they handle the bills, they offer to drive you to the doctor. You're told to rest, to take it easy, to let them handle things. It seems thoughtful, almost a relief. But as time goes on, the help becomes less about support and more about control. The toxic caretaker. Relative starts making decisions for you without asking. They begin speaking on your behalf, assuming you can't handle certain things on your own. They tell others what you think or need without actually checking with you. And if you try to reclaim your voice, they may guilt you, question your memory, or brush you off as being confused or too tired. What's so difficult about this situation is that it's happening under the banner of love. This person says they just want what's best for you. They may even believe it themselves, but slowly you begin to notice that your preferences are ignored. Your independence is quietly stripped away. You feel less like a person with choices and more like a project being managed. This kind of relationship is emotionally damaging. It creates a false sense of dependence and can slowly erode your confidence, self-worth, and peace of mind. It can also become a gateway for financial control, isolation, or even manipulation of your legal or medical decisions. And yet, many older adults hesitate to speak up. Why? Because they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Because they feel ashamed for needing help in the first place. Or because they're afraid that pushing back means losing the only support they have. But here's what you need to know. Accepting help doesn't mean giving up your voice. You can still need assistance and maintain full control of your decisions. You can receive care without surrendering your autonomy. And you absolutely deserve to be treated with respect, especially by the people who say they care about you. If you recognize yourself in this situation, take a deep breath and remember it's okay to draw a line. You can say, I appreciate your support, but I'm still capable of making my own decisions. You can involve a trusted third party, like a counselor, elder, advocate, or legal professional, to help establish boundaries and ensure your rights are protected. We believe aging shouldn't mean losing power over your life. Your experience matters, your voice matters, and your independence is not negotiable. No one, no matter how well-intentioned, has the right to silence it. 6. The envious or judgmental relative. Some relatives wear their discontent like a second skin, and they expect you to carry the weight of it. You may notice it in the way they smile a little less brightly at your successes, or how their compliments often come wrapped in backhanded comparisons. Must be nice to have that kind of time. Or, well, not everyone's that lucky. This is the signature of the envious or judgmental relative. Rather than celebrating your growth or your peace, they seem almost irritated by it. They subtly or overtly compare you to others, siblings, cousins, neighbors, as if life were a competition, and your joy somehow diminishes theirs. But what they're really doing is projecting. Their words often reflect their own insecurities, regrets, or dissatisfaction. And when envy is left unexamined, it becomes judgment directed at anyone who dares to live differently or freely. Being on the receiving end of this dynamic can be quietly exhausting. You might start shrinking yourself to avoid showing off or softening your wins to keep the peace. You may even feel guilty for thriving, as if your happiness needs to be hidden. But here's the truth. You don't need to carry the burden of their unresolved issues. Their standards, their comparisons, their commentary, none of that defines your worth or your path. Your journey is not theirs to evaluate, and your fulfillment doesn't require their permission. You are allowed to live unapologetically. You are allowed to feel proud of how far you've come, even if others haven't come to terms with their own path. And you are absolutely allowed to choose relationships that uplift rather than those that quietly chip away at your spirit. Sometimes the most powerful act of self-care is refusing to shrink in the presence of someone else's shadow. Let go of the need to impress, to explain, or to conform. Live boldly in the truth that your life, your choices, your peace, your pace is enough. We remind you, your later years are not the time to seek approval. They're the time to seek joy, clarity, and freedom from toxic expectations. You've earned it. Solutions and practical advice. Protecting your peace. After 60, as we've explored, certain family dynamics can weigh heavily on our mental, emotional, and even physical well-being, especially as we step into our later years. But here's the good news. Peace is not only possible, it's within your control. The key lies in practical, intentional steps that protect your space, honor your needs, and nurture your soul. Let's dive into how to reclaim your joy and maintain your well-being with confidence and compassion. Set firm boundaries. Learn to say no without guilt. One of the most powerful tools you have is the ability to say no. Boundaries are the invisible fences that protect your energy, time, and emotions. For many, especially those who have spent a lifetime caregiving or people-pleasing, this can feel uncomfortable or even selfish at first. But saying no is not about shutting people out. It's about choosing what you will say yes to. Saying no doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to preserve your peace. When a family member demands your time, money, or emotional labor beyond what you can give without harm, a gentle but firm no can feel like a lifeline. It might feel awkward at first, but with practice, it becomes easier and even empowering. Remember, each no you say is a yes to your health, your happiness, and your well-being. You might try setting clear limits, like, I'm happy to support you in these ways, but I cannot take on more than that. Or, I need to focus on my own health right now, so I won't be available every day. You don't owe explanations or justifications. Your boundaries are about protecting your peace, not convincing others. Prioritize self-care. Your happiness, health, and peace come first. In your later years, self-care is no longer a luxury. It's essential. It's about more than spa days or occasional treats. It's a holistic approach to nurturing your body, mind, and spirit every single day. This means listening to your needs without guilt and giving yourself permission to prioritize your happiness. Start by identifying what brings you joy, calm, and energy. Maybe it's a daily walk in nature, meditation, reading, or creative hobbies you've always loved. Maybe it's spending quality time with friends who uplift you or practicing gratitude to shift your mindset. Whatever fuels your spirit, make it a non-negotiable part of your routine. Physical self-care is just as important. Healthy eating, gentle exercise, and enough restful sleep. These practices build the foundation for resilience, helping you face challenges with more strength and calm. When you nurture yourself consistently, you create a buffer against stress and negativity, making it easier to maintain your boundaries and emotional health. Self-care also means managing your mental and emotional space. Practice mindfulness or journaling to understand your feelings and reactions. Consider therapy or support groups if you need tools to process difficult relationships. Prioritizing your mental wellness is a courageous step toward lasting peace. Let go of toxicity. Protect your space without cutting ties. Letting go of toxicity doesn't always mean cutting ties entirely. Family relationships can be complicated, and sometimes completely walking away isn't an option or doesn't feel right. Instead, focus on protecting your space emotionally, mentally, and physically. This can mean limiting interactions with toxic relatives to times and places you feel safe, steering conversations away from triggering topics or ending calls that become draining. You get to decide the terms of your engagement. Think of it as curating your emotional environment like you would your physical home, keeping out the clutter and negativity to create a space where you can thrive. If a relative is prone to criticism or drama, you might respond calmly and briefly, then change the subject or gently end the conversation. You don't need to absorb their negativity or fix their problems. Remember, your role is not to be a therapist or a punching bag. You deserve respect and kindness, especially from family. It's also okay to forgive, but not forget. Forgiveness can lighten your emotional load, but it doesn't obligate you to tolerate harmful behavior. You can forgive and still enforce boundaries that safeguard your well-being. Choose yourself. Your peace is earned and deserved. Perhaps the most important message for your later years is this: you get to choose yourself. After decades of giving, supporting, and often putting others first, it's time to prioritize your own happiness without apology. Your peace is not just a gift, it's a right you've earned through a lifetime of experience, love, and resilience. Choosing yourself means recognizing that your needs matter. It means trusting your instincts when something doesn't feel right, and having the courage to step back even if it disappoints others. Choosing yourself is a daily practice of self-respect. This doesn't mean isolating yourself or becoming cold. It means creating relationships based on mutual respect, care, and support. Surround yourself with those who uplift your spirit and encourage your growth. Seek connections that add value to your life rather than drain it. Remember, aging is not about shrinking into the background. It's about shining with the wisdom, grace, and strength you've cultivated. Choosing yourself allows you to live fully on your terms with dignity and joy. Final thoughts. Your later years are a precious chapter meant for peace, fulfillment, and genuine connection. By setting firm boundaries, prioritizing self-care, protecting your space, and choosing yourself, you take back control of your life and safeguard your mental and emotional well-being. This is your time. Your peace is priceless. Your health is paramount, and your happiness is your birthright. Embrace these truths and watch how your life transforms in beautiful and unexpected ways. We're here to walk this journey with you, offering guidance, support, and inspiration as you claim the peace and joy you so richly deserve. Thank you for spending this time with Ageless Mind and Body. If you found these tips helpful and want to continue building a life full of peace, health, and meaningful relationships, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Your journey to a happier, more empowered you starts here, and we're honored to be part of it. Take care and see you in the next video.